back with our last interview. Last but not least, I would like to say, we have Frauke Seebass here from the German Institute for International Security Affairs. So since we're, the sessions are waiting for us, we will start immediately and talk about the, let's start and talk about the EU sentiment, maybe even like also in Germany, about the constituencies sentiment, the people's sentiment, about the enlargement in the wake of some revitalization of the right wing, I would say, in the EU.
Yeah, thank you. I think there was a lot of enthusiasm when the latest Eurobarometer was published in, I think, 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, because we saw that more than 50% of EU citizens are actually in favor of enlargement, with some actually being below 70, above 70%, sorry. So there was generally some enthusiasm, I would say. But of course, we also have to see that in some countries, and especially countries where citizens might have to give a referendum or answer to a referendum, like France, it is around 40%, so below half. So I see a lot of divergence between the constituencies. We also see divergence between the governments and the constituencies. So it's not a one race for sure. And especially, I think, the closer we get to the actual enlargement, the more friction there will be, and there will be also more space for exploitation by malign actors. Especially when it becomes more visible publicly, and then maybe, for example, Russian malign influence might play a much bigger role, because it's very easy to mobilize on anti-immigration sentiments, for example. Yeah,
and it's especially if we lose momentum on EU enlargement, we can have outside influences, as we did maybe during the moratorium.
Exactly, yeah.
And what about, what have you taken from this forum back? Like, do you see the issue differently, or do you see there needs to be a change in the approach from the EU institutions and all democracies of the EU?
Yeah, I think that what we really saw here is that having these concrete discussions, you know, on very concrete topics, excuse me, like AI or energy, for example, that we actually really focus on the problems that there are. And we see there are some regional problems, obviously, that are very particular to, for example, the Balkan countries. But we also see that there are wider European issues that we need to discuss on the same table. And I think this is going to be very crucial for the future, to have a more common discussion on very concrete topics and see how we all, like our expertise, can benefit this. And also, I think one of the biggest, one of the things that I really saw was the lessons learned that people bring back, especially people from the diaspora, who studied somewhere else and then they come back to the country, for example, but also the other way around, can bring to the discussion. I think this is very valuable, and this is, I think something that that we need to do much more.
And we can see that we have much more in common. That
Clearly, absolutely.
Frauke, thank you very much, because now we are continuing with our closing session.